Is it time? Do we finally have ourselves the final round of Swiss? 7 rounds in, or 6 rounds in, about to go into round 7. The question is though, chat, are we just chilling? Are we just having a little bit of a watch party? Because I don't know how I feel about casting by myself, chat. I can do it. It just feels a little bit weird. And not truly weird, but you guys know what I mean. It's like I'm used to going back and forth asking questions. I can ask myself questions. I don't know. I'll think about it in the next 5 minutes. You guys can help me think. Are we just chilling? Are we just watching the final round of Swiss? Maybe I'll do a little bit of both, like a casual commentary. Because to be honest, guys, I think I'm just going to be talking over the game anyways. So it's going to be like a pseudo cast. But here we go. It is round number 7, the final round of day 1. These players are most likely on the bubble. They're both trying to get into that top 4 cut, the top 64 cut, I should say. And you could just tell how serious and important this moment is for these players just by the simple fact of how they are meditating, right? And Dan, come to Germany when you get our first event. Not sure when. Yeah, Dan, I would love to come. Okay, we have a Misfortune. You know, funny enough, Misfortune was somewhere in that mix of top legends to get represented in day 1, going against the menace of the meta, Draven. 35% of the current field is on Draven, so my money, if I was a betting man, has to be on Draven. But you know what? You don't come to this tournament with an off-meta pick like MF Aurora, or I don't say Aurora, but as Misfortune, if you don't have a game plan against the #1 deck in the meta. And you know what? I think I was correct. It will most likely be a MF Aurora. Does anyone know the matchup against Draven? Has anyone played MF Aurora in chat? Because I think this might be a decent matchup for Aurora. You know, chat, that's what I'm going to do. You guys are my co-hosts, all right? Leroy's went on a snooze fest. I'll be your guys' caster, and you guys be my co-caster. So I'll be asking you questions back and forth if you guys want to help me answer some of them in chat. But it's going to be Aspirin Climb with Misfortune. So more than likely, like we said, it's going to be on that dazzling Aurora game plan. And of course, Reaver's Row, pretty much a notorious battlefield to Draven builds. But that does signify to us that that's going to be a more traditional Draven build, not so much the Miracle Draven that we've been seeing very recently in the more English meta. Now go ahead and update the battlefields while these guys roll for turn order. Yeah, Chandler, I agree. I think Aurora has some good plays to win this. I mean, any deck that hits Aurora early on, Draven does have rebukes that tends to be decently good against Aurora. They have the fight or flights, but at one point, how much is enough? Aurora just gets a little out of hand. And speak of the devil, it looks like he has it in his opening hand, but what he doesn't have is the ramp to get to Aurora earlier on. I didn't see a Mobilize. I didn't see a Catalyst of Aeons. So this could be a little bit longer road ahead of him to try to get that development of the Dazzling Aurora and get things online. But chat, like I said, round number 7, the final round of day 1 is here, and it's none other than a Misfortune versus the Draven. Is it going to be as straightforward as a lot of people have mentioned it to be, as Draven just moving on forward? But these guys are 4 wins and 2 ties. And we did see a AI competitor earlier in today's event. It looks like this is one of his teammates. If you guys are familiar with the Chinese team meta, there's a lot of top teams, but AI and ARDB are some of the top teams from coming out from the Chinese regions. So let's see, is AI, you know, the fact that he's on the AI team, I'm willing to bet he practices this matchup a lot. So starting things off, not as ideal as you want, but a last right is something nonetheless, so it doesn't feel too bad. But you're gonna give Draven a lot of room to conquer early on. I have a funny feeling this overzealous fan might be scoring 3 to 4 points in the next couple turns. MF plays Sabotage, Meister, so Rubik should be primary targets. Yeah, Hederick, you're absolutely right. So there could be some kind of counterplay against the Dravens. Like I said, this guy is on a really good competitive team over there. And interesting enough, this was the way MF Auroras got around the pressure from things like Annie. So instead of giving away the Conqueror, you're going to go ahead and bring that overzealous fan back to the hand. But now the accelerated Kaiser going into the Reaver's Row, allowing him to get a +1 draw on top of that +1 point. So not too shabby, but that's better than going 2 points up or having your opponent go 2 points up against you. So you did your best you could on the defense. The question is, what do you have right now? I think that's 6 total runes. Yeah, chat, you need immobilize anything because right now you're still out of the range of Dazzling Aurora. Yeah, Eagle, I think it's confirmed. I think it's confirmed. 4 wins, 0 draws. And wait. Why do you say 2 L's? Confirm. I thought you were gonna say 2 draws. Why do you say 100% confirmed? And let's see, is he going to be hitting any kind of ramp? You need something, but it doesn't look like it. He's going to be forced out to develop his champion unit. The MF doesn't choose to accelerate it, doesn't want to deramp himself. It's too much. He knows he doesn't have enough for Dazzling Aurora the next turn, so he's just going to have to get some board presence as he does now. And he does currently have 5 might versus the Kaiser's 4 might, but because that Reaver's Row is online for this game number 1, it's going to be so tough to take down his units because these units are just going to be nice, sitting pretty in the base when they get recalled back. You translate the app? Okay, Eagle, I'll believe you. Do those Chinese characters mean losses? Okay, fair enough. I'll believe you if it's in the translate app. And before heading back to the base, the Ferris Forerunner will be replacing the Kaiser on the Reaver's Roll. And now you no longer have an advantageous position because you had the might enough to get over the Kaiser. But the MF, or I keep calling the MF Aurora, but the MF champion a little bit shy from taking down the Ferris Forerunner. So you might as well go for the Aspirant Climb. But I think Draven is playing this pretty good. On top of MF getting slightly unlucky, you run so many ramp potential and you hit none of them in the first couple cards, but challenge taking down the Kaiser, and you should be able to conquer. You can't really do anything with this last sprite because there's literally 0 units in the trash, so I think you're just going to be able to get a single point. And oh, okay. What is that one called, chat? I know there's Treasure Trove and then there's the other one. I'll go ahead and look it up here. Oh, Pack of Wonders. That's what it is. Okay. And thank you, Chandler. Yeah, Pack of Wonders return another friendly gear unit or hidden card to its owner's hand. So it pairs really well with Treasure Trove, as we probably saw the Silver player do earlier in that round 6. So we'll see if it does too much. It looks like it's not going to be getting too much advantage, as you want to pair it with the Treasure Trove to get the channel, to get the draw. So yeah, man, this MF, if they were able to get a single rune, if not two runes, they would be looking in a decent position because 3 points isn't a big differential, right? You're able to come back with Dazzling Aurora, and Draven doesn't really seem to have any gear removal, at least for the main board, right? Maybe in the sideboard they're gonna be running things like Thermal Beam. It doesn't feel too unrealistic. But ooh, Jammer coming through, allowing the Ferris Forerunner to get the ganking onto Aspirant Climb. So Jammer, a very underrated card. I feel like it's really, really good in Fury decks. No, you know now, I wouldn't trust 100% when it comes to names. Fire Chicken, I think his name might be Fire Chicken, but it's probably most likely going to be Phoenix. That's probably what they mean by Fire Chicken. It's probably just a weird translation, but I'm willing to bet his name is actually somewhat along the lines of Phoenix. But here we have it, guys. MF going to be pushing forward on Reaver's Row, but Jam are going to be retreating, taking full advantage of Reaver's Row. But you are going to finally get on the board, so 1 point up for MF. The question is, yeah, I think we're answering our own question. Dazzling Aurora going to be hitting the board. Do we get a Deadbloom Predator? And are you happy about a Deadbloom Predator? Or would you not mind hitting something like a Mind Splitter? Do you want to take a peek at Draven's hand? Is the question. I mean, we don't get the choice. Here were the cards he needed. That's Dazzling Aurora number 2. There's a Called Shot. There's a Punch First, a Treasure Trove. And there we go. It will be a Mind Splitter nonetheless. So at the very minimum, you get to take out the most threatening card from Draven's hand. Oh, and chat, I actually didn't get to see it. I went ahead and drank water. Did anyone see what he chose as the Mind Splitter? Because it looks like he left behind the spinning axe. Oh, no. He's reacting as with the spinning axe. So a Ride the Wind, a Rebuke, a Hard Bargain, a Overzealous, and a Brynir Thundersong. I'm kind of looking at that Brynir, but I'm also looking at the Rebuke. Rebuke tends to do a lot of work against Aurora decks, but it is 2 power. I don't know, chat. What are we feeling here as a decision? I am liking the Brynir Thundersong, but thinking about it, you don't really have too many combat tricks, so I don't mind this Ride the Wind being as the chosen target for the Mind Splitter. But Mind Splitter doesn't work as Sabotage. It actually goes to the trash as they're correcting now. Yeah, this is fair because you don't allow the Ferris Forerunner to just simply gank back over with something like a Ride the Wind. Subby could have hard bargain, but I think he's just gonna say if he takes the hard bargain, he takes it. I keep the better cards in hand, and I could just save the hard bargain for something later on. But yes, Sabu, maybe he could have hard bargain, but it probably wasn't the biggest of deals for him. Actually, wait, what are we talking about? It's Mind Splitter, chat. Sabu, you confuse me. We're 10 hours into the stream. There is no such thing as any spells being played. Guys, I'm getting debated by chat here. You know, it is more of a friendly commentary stream with chat today for the final round of Swiss. If you guys joined us earlier, we know we were doing a full-on cast throughout the whole tournament. But for the last little round of round 7, it's just me and chat hanging out while we do a little bit of co-cast. Our co-caster Leroy couldn't hang in there, respectfully of course, because he stayed up for forever, but he ended up falling asleep literally live on air. So kind of funny, I never had that happen to me. But just a little side note why I am casting currently by myself, but it should be okay. It's just a final round, and it looks like it might be a speedy one at that. Draven already at 6 points to MF's Aurora's 1, But if there's something about of what we know about MF's Aurora's capabilities is even being at a single point, you're never completely out of this game. If you can at least establish battlefield presence on a single battlefield, you're able to stack up the might. MF MF could get in there, and then Mind Splitter can follow in, and then if you're hitting Dazzling Auroras, things like Mountain Drake adding 10 might to that board, things like Dead Bloom adding 8 might to the board. So this is something Draven has to play around, but we did see there is something like a Rebuke in hand, and ooh, the bullet time could come into, could be a little clutch down the road, maybe to clear out the mechs once this Ferris Forerunner dies. But we'll see. I think MF isn't 100% out of it, but so far so good for Draven, being up at the 6, of course. And as we speculated, he's going down the easier route. Jammer has the option to use Reaver's Row. Most likely going to be taking it, because why would you just waste a trade unless you feel like you can go ahead with something like a Spinning Axe to trade the MF, but you're still going to end up dying anyways. So Reaver's Row does get triggered for calling it back to base and allowing them to stay on the battlefield. So going up to 2. Now I'm very keen to know what's gonna be these other units off the top of the deck from Dazzling Aurora. On top of it, chat, if you see what I see, that is another Mind Splitter getting played out. Let's see, is he gonna be choosing the Rebuke? Is he gonna be choosing something else to see? Oh, another Ride the Wind. I think that might be a likely target since that was target number 1. But I'm seeing a Ride the Wind, 2 Rebukes. Okay, there's some good stuff in the hand for Draven. Yeah, Demi, I could see that. I could see that having both plays to make for sure. I mean, so far it does lean slightly towards Draven in my opinion, but the simple fact that you started getting Dazzling Aurora off just the last turn, it starts being a little bit of a snowball rolling downhill, right? It just slowly but surely starts getting bigger and bigger, and at one point it's just gonna eventually roll over Draven. But we'll see. I think he took the secondary Ride the Wind away, leaving behind the 2 Rebukes. You know, it's fair play to him, because what is he going to do in this position? Does he really want to Rebuke a Mind Splitter? All that's going to be doing is allowing him to play it out the next turn. And speaking of Mind Splitter, that is a triple Mind Splitter getting played out. And this guy is not having a good day. He's like, wait a minute, you've taken all my great cards away. I guess you're going to have to take another one. So 1 Rebuke going to be hitting the trash following those Ride the Winds, leaving behind Draven's just 3 cards, a Rebuke, a Brynir, and I believe there was a Hard Bargain. That's what it was. Yeah, Hard, super rude. You could say that again. Alright, he will be passing it over to the Draven's turn. Plenty of rooms to work with. He just has to try to set up a mega hold. He's at 7. MF though has ganking capabilities, right? You exhaust your units, you exhaust your legend I should say, and you're able to send one going on the other side. So brings out the Draven champion, but I'm surprised he's electing to play Draven into the base, chat. If you were the Draven player, aren't you just stacking everything onto the Aspirant Climb? Actually, what am I talking about? It's Aspirant Climb. You guys know I'm tired. Honestly, who am I kidding? I probably would have mistaken that earlier on anyways. He's not at winning point, so this makes sense to establish Draven in that base, because you're going to most likely go up to 8 on the hold, and you need to try to pull it out and get a push off on the Reaver's Row. But I think in this position, you probably do still want to just stack up one of the battlefields. But there's that little cheeky combo, the Treasure Trove getting put back to hand, channeling 1, drawing 1. Doesn't feel all that bad. Yeah, Heretic, I think so too. For the kill, you're at the very least gonna be getting a couple mech tokens. Um, and not 12 might, right? Isn't it just gonna be 2 might? Or not 2 might, 2 3 might, so 6 total might. Where's the other Ferris Forerunner? What am I missing? He stacked them? Oh, really? Is there 2 Ferris? I thought that was a spinning axe, but I'll take a look. I doubt he stacked them because I don't think the judges would let him. Yeah, Bunia. I think that's the axe, chat. Misfortune has ramp. Yeah, Jella. I think Misfortune has plenty of runes to work with for sure. And you know, if she didn't have enough runes, I think she's gonna go ahead and draw off. There's actually, I see 3 runes remaining in the rune deck, so it's gonna be able to challenge 2, leaving 1 behind. But oh, this is tricky. If Draven has something like, I mean, we know for a fact he has 1 rebuke, so let's calculate how much board presence. That's 21 plus 5, 26, but you have to minus a 7, so 14 plus the 5, going up to 19 total might defending, huh? Oh, I think that's 1 too many, chat. 19? Oh, how are you getting down over 19? I think the game plan is to hold your way to victory, which I think the AI competitor realizing that and trying to move things back to base so that you're able to push forward. I say back to base, but he doesn't have to send everything. As we just mentioned before, MF is allowed to push one of these under ganking. MF herself, the champion there, does have ganking already, so could send 2 units in, but there is that overzealous fan. Yeah, Nico, I think these are the records on the Riftbound leaderboard. China has a Riftbound leaderboard for their events, and I think this is just their rankings. And we said Bullet Time would be oh my goodness, we thought Bullet Time would be the exact card he needed, but completely forgot about the hard bargain, chat. Hard bargain. He looked at it not once, he looked at it 3 times. That hard bargain was in the hand from the very first Mind Splitter, just kind of slipped in mind. You know, that's sometimes why you write down the cards. I think he actually did write down the cards. He just had a little bit of a mental slip up, because that right there, you never want to go ahead and invest your bullet time when you know the hard bargain is pretty much, you can't pay the cost for it, basically being a full counter outright. That could be a bit of a blunder on MF. He needed that time, that bullet time down the road. Oh, you think it's a bait? Okay, Bunya, I can see that. Yeah, thank you, Epically Evil. Have fun at your scrimmage today. Hope you win it all. Does attach the last right, so I still don't think there's any units in that trash. If I remember right, MF was their first unit, and then each and every Mind Splitter was the units following that. So I think, I think I know what's going on here. He wants to go ahead and send one of the Mind Splitters in to perhaps trade. If he wants to go overzealous fan, it just goes back to your base. Extra drop. No, Evil, you got this. You got this. You know, I'm so jealous. I wish I got to play in one of my scrimmages. I just couldn't find the time to make it all work, but maybe set 2 will be my set. Set 2, I'll find some good scrimmages. All right, he is thinking about it, ganking over with the Mind Splitter, but says, wait a second, let me think about it a little bit more. Okay, overzealous fan does get deployed, sending it back, and now MF had to use her ability on the legend, so she's able to gank 1 more time. But you know, this is not a good position you're finding yourself in. Like someone else in chat said, you do have 2 mech tokens for the Ferris Forerunner's Death Note trigger, so even if you take down Ferris, you at the very least take down the spinning axe, unless there's something like an angle shot to be one of the reactions. But now bullet time getting played out, another one. And do you do it now, or would you have waited for the defensive bullet time? And Daywater, I don't know exactly what they have in mind, but he really wants to get the Ferris Forerunner out of here. But that's just a large investment for a single unit. Isn't that Ferris Forerunner at? Oh no, he's doing it on the combat step, so he's trying to bring it into the range of MF's 5 total might. So thinking about things, Ferris is at 9, so you just need to do 4 damage right now. I say 4, but there is a couple runes available for Draven, so if something like another spinning axe or another longsword, so you have to think about it. Do you want to over it? Oh, going down to a single rune, chat. Is this what it takes to get the job done? I don't like this play. I mean, any play that costs me to go back to turn 1, it just doesn't feel ideal, especially considering the simple fact that you're only going up to 4 points. It's not like you're going up 6 to 8. You know, this isn't one of those end deal breaker type points. You're only at 4, not even halfway to the finish line. Having 1 rune, that's almost like conceding right there. But maybe there's something I don't know, chat. Maybe there is. We'll see. And he's trying to do the math. Draven swings in for 6. Jammer swings in for 2. So that's 8 right there. 2 mech tokens are 6 collectively. So what is that, guys? 14 total might. The spinning axe isn't going to be staying around. 14 total might, though. You do have to split a little bit of the difference. The gank does come on over, but this is tricky. Very, very tricky. And Tukin, you think Draven does? I think he does play thermal beam, but excuse me, I think he plays thermal beam in the side deck. And he played the Devlin Predator off to the side while he chooses which battlefield he wants to play it on. Because right now, Draven is sitting on the door to victory. Just one more conquer on each of one of these battlefields, and he will be taking game number 1. So he's trying to think carefully. How am I going to be spotting it? The obvious answer to me, the obvious choice, I should say, I feel like splitting the mites evenly as you can feels okay. Because you're having to invest so much might, but I'm seeing the rebuke, and I think that should make a world of difference. The Devlin gonna be stacking everything onto the aspirant climb. Let's see how Draven handles this, because he doesn't have a single unit that can just take down the Mind Splitter on his own. So you're having to invest more than 1. I think MF might have a hold here. And chat, what am I missing? How did he play another spinning axe without paying for it? Oh no, he played 2 and recycle 1. That's why it looks like 1. So he just literally played the spinning axe. Yeah, boo. I think the MF is dead, but I'm curious to see why they decided to go down to a single energy, a single rune. So retreats the Mind Splitter, interesting enough, but now you have to send everything onto Aspirant Climb. Let's see what kind of combat tricks there is. Oh, the Ride the Wind to bring Draven back, activating the ability one more time. I think that should be somewhere in the neighborhood. You go up to 8, you go up to 11. That's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 total might versus what is that? That's going to be 15 plus 5, 20. You're one shy. You're one shy if my quick maths was right. But what does he run? Oh, with the rebuke, of course. 20 to 19, but rebuke changing all the math, and that's going to be GG. Draven player taking game number 1 of this final round of Swiss for today's Regional Open. Expecting a set, right? Because set isn't too crazy this upcoming set. No pun intended. But yeah, I don't think Set has been doing too many good stuff. Even though I think Set just recently won a city challenge, I want to say. And her Miracle Dravens, we have no idea. We're going to be able to find out tomorrow, but I'm willing to bet all the Miracle Dravens are at the top tables. They most likely are going to be making their way into top 64. Yeah, too keen. Those city challenges are best of 1, but this could be the very last game of today's Swiss round. 7 rounds in, Draven up a single game, as he's just going to be closing things out in that 2-0 fashion. Or is MF going to get a little bit more fortuitous and get off that Dazzling Aurora just that much faster, not giving Draven the space he needs to continue on to conquer? And now there's no aspirant climb. If you give Draven that space, he's going to be closing things out even earlier or faster than he did before. But, you know, Treasure Trove isn't the worst to start things off. Now you're at 5 runes because of Obelisk of Power, of course. Okay, digging. We didn't get to see exactly what he has in hand, but let's go ahead and see what he has from the stack. Oh no, it's not a stack deck. Oh, he does have Catalyst of Aeon, so that should be good enough ramp. So let's see if he has kind of the opposite problem. Last game he had Dazzling Aurora, no ramp. Now he has ramp. The question stands though, does he have Aurora this time? And chat, let me know if you guys want me to pull up a card, since it's more of a casual commentary for this last round since our co-caster knocked out. I'm not really pulling up the cards, but if there's any cards you guys really want to see that are a little bit I mean, granted it's MF and Draven, nothing too crazy that we haven't seen, but just if anyone's new in chat, I could pull them up on the screen, because right now I'm not really thinking about it, if I'm being honest. And you know, Draven establishing that first point and feeling decently good. Not only does he set up a overzealous fan, but gets probably a hidden card, most likely going to be that fight or flight, which is smart, because if you hide the fight or flight, you literally hide it from the unit we're seeing right here, right now, that being the Mind Splitter. And it looks like we got our answer earlier on. You had the ramp, you had the Dazzling Aurora. This is exactly the picture perfect opening that MF 3-turn Aurora really wants to do, and that's pretty much the earliest you could have a Dazzling Aurora. Now, does Draven have gear removal? Did he side in what you guys were telling me about the thermal beams, or is he just gonna have to deal with it with brute force from his units? Because I don't think that's gonna be favoring him, especially when we think about it. He's gonna be able to remove another unit. What's that unit in the middle? I'm seeing Ride the Wind Gem Jammer. Chat, why am I going crazy? What is that unit in the middle? No, it has 3. Oh, it is a Darius. I guess I couldn't see it. It's the alternate version of Darius. I thought it was reading 3 might, 3 energy, but thank you guys. It is a Darius, of course. And that's going to be the target for Mind Splitter. I like that target because Darius puts a lot more battlefield presence, a lot more pressure onto these battlefields. So Mind Splitter feeling decently good. It looks like only 1 point, make that 2 points behind. And Draven doesn't have too much of an ideal play. You could ride the wind over one of your units, but let's see what his draws were. And you know, you rarely see a Draven with so little cards. That's what, like you guys told me before, that's what MF can do when you hit something like a Mind Splitter. He might even have a Sabotage a little bit later, but Draven got taken out of the hand and top deck. You love to see it if you're the Draven player. You're like, you know what? I could have had two Dravens, and look at that laugh. He's like, wait a minute. I thought I took that away from you. How did you go ahead and get another one? Kind of a little bit of a magic trick if you ask me. Taps out for the second Dazzling Aurora. If Draven does have access to Thermal Beam, that's going to be the biggest Thermal Beam we've seen this entire tournament long. Two Dazzling Auroras, that's almost going to be guaranteed wrapping things up for the MF player. It's just too much board. It's just too much board development, too much might. Deadbloom Predator deciding to most likely get played out. I think that chose, yeah, he doesn't want to risk it onto the battlefield just yet. Yeah, another one, guys. I wish I had the soundboard for another one, because that does come out. And speaking of another one, it's going to be another Deadbloom Predator. 16 total might just added at the very end of MF's turn. You're feeling pretty good. You know, this might starts getting very out of hand, especially because you're doing it each and every end phase 2 times. It's ridiculous. She is a teeny bit behind. I say teeny because 3 points isn't the big as the difference is, but 3 points does end up being a little bit more than she would like, especially because you are able to push the Darius up to 4th point if you choose to do so. But if you do, with the current hand that we just saw, you have no type of defensive capabilities, no more spinning axes, no rebukes. You have a ride the win, I believe. Oh, no, that was a stacked deck. Never mind. I thought that was his hand. Yeah, Dean, I think it's Thermal Beam or bust for the Draven player. If not, we're probably going into a game 3 for this final round. Alright, Jam Jammer coming out, doing what he does and allowing the Draven to gank over. So Sigil is a Storm. You do have to recycle one of your runes. Gonna be picking up that Chaos one. I think in this circumstance, actually you're pretty even. Fury and Chaos is pretty even at this point. But just thinking later down the game, you do want to save some Chaos runes for those rebukes, as we saw them come decently clutch to close things out. But now Darius probably just going to be hanging back in the base. You don't want to overextend and expose them to those Deadbloom Predators. Draven, I guess he did what he can. He doesn't mind trading them, because I don't think there's anything he can do to protect them. Goes ahead and pass their turn. Does get 2 points though, so now the point difference will be 0 to 4. But I think it's finally time for MF to make her move and try to put some points on the board. So stack deck will be the first thing done, just to see every single option available to her. It looks like a last right, a treasure trove, and a catalyst. So goes up and hits the last right. I still don't think there's any units as of right now. Those are the only 3 units played out this game. But has the last right in case she wants to go ahead and trade. Something like you could push in the Mind Splitter. Draven currently could hold, what is that, 9 total might without any additional buffs. So you can't really send the Mind Splitter on his own. But you could Mind Splitter and something else. Then attach the last right to the last unit that didn't get sent in. And then you could recall maybe the Mind Splitter, but I don't even know if you have enough runes for that. 2, 4, 6, 8. I guess you do. That seems like a decent line. And not wanting to deal with any combat tricks from Draven, taking a little bit of a different route, the smaller unit being Overzealous Fan, and whoa, the switcheroo getting played out. That's gonna be swapping the mites from the Doubloon Predator and adding it onto its own, and not literally adding it, but switcheroo is quite literally as it says. You're just swapping the mites. So Doubloon Predator goes to 2 might, and an Overzealous Fan goes to 8 might. So okay, you're still gonna be winning the combat as it stands because you have more than enough to overtake the 8 might, but it does allow him to take down the Doubloon. Okay, fair enough. But Switcheroo doing a little something, not too much, but it looks like MF still gonna get the conquer to claim her very first point of this game. Interesting enough. See, that's where I was thinking only sending in 2 units, because I guess if it was 2 Doubloon Predators, you would still have the Mind Splitter in the back. But even so, I think with the Mind Splitter in the back, if you attach the Mind Splitter, you still wouldn't get over the Draven on the sigil, right? What does the last right? That's a good thing you asked, Blue. I could go ahead and pull it up. Last right, for those that are unfamiliar with it, to attach it you have to pay a chaos, and you also have to recycle 2 from your trash. But whenever you conquer or hold, you're able to play a unit from your trash, and you do have to pay the cost to play the unit, but you're able to pretty much play with the trash in your hand when it comes to units. So not too bad of a spell, or not too bad of an equipment. When do we find out about the ranks next to their records? Cirque, I don't think we'll ever, unless we're Chinese, unless anyone in chat understands Chinese, I don't think we'll ever truly know. I can speculate to the best of my abilities. I think it's the Riftbound leaderboard. There's a Riftbound leaderboard for every event that took place. If you guys remember, George G was actually very close to the top, if not the top at one point. I now remember him posting it about it. So I think those are just your ranks among the Riftbound leaderboard over there. And it looks like he's running very thin on units right now. Looking through the majority of his deck, he's pretty much not going to have anything left. I know there's another Doubloon, and there should be another Mind Splitter, as there's only 2 apiece, and it looks to me those are his only units, chats. I think there's only 3 Doubloon Predators and 3 Mind Splitters, which is kind of crazy to think about. No Mountain Drakes, no anything else. That is interesting. Yeah, Dan, I think so. I think he's literally playing 3 units. Some MF Aurora used to play like Volley Bear, the 10-drop Volley Bear. They used to play the 10-drop Mountain Drake. The Punch first coming in, doing a mighty amount of work, taking down the Draven. So, hey, she's on the board now. She is definitely on the board, going 2 to 4. And now it's up to this Darius and this Gem Jammer to do a whole lot of heavy lifting, especially when we're looking at the Obelisk of Power. How are you getting over that battlefield? And Demibane, I don't believe so. What they used to do from the regionals, they never really post the standings at the end of the day. They post it at the beginning of the top 64, and I wonder what decks are in top 64. Demi, I'll be posting all the deck lists from this event, or not literally all the deck lists. I will post at the minimum the top 8. Maybe I'll post a little bit more than that. But the decks usually come out Monday, Tuesday. So when they become public, if you guys don't know, you can find them on the WeChat. For anyone that kind of messes around with those Chinese apps, is the Riftbound WeChat. But just like that, not even in the middle threshold of this game, Draven sees the writing on the wall. He said, you know what? You have it. I have the potential of going into a game 3, and I'm going to be on the play. Hopefully you get a little bit more unlucky. I didn't like the ramp dazzling Aurora game plan because you execute it perfectly, and that's where I'm going to be conceding. Where were my thermal beams is the question. If he has no sideboard thermal beams, this could favor MF Aurora. You can see it, they're like, wait a second, we have to play for time here, and now it's going to be Obelisk of Power and Targon's Peak. So I think MF feeling wait. Oh, it was Obelisk of Power from Draven. I think MF is feeling decent about this. She just won the game on Obelisk of Power. Maybe she'll do it one more time. On top of it, you're able to, if you conquer things like Targon's Peak, you're able to have bullet time perhaps online. So this could be tricky for Draven, but I think if there's any deck to take down the likes of MF Aurora, Draven is obviously, you know, he's up there. He's the #1 most represented for a reason. I think that's why Draven version is better than regular Draven. Yeah, Dean, is that what you're calling it? Graven versus Miracle Draven or Draven Storm? Either way, we have the traditional Draven trying to end in game 3, starting off on the play in his favor. But MF Aurora, we saw him get a little bit lucky this previous round, or this previous game 2. Can she do it one more time? Obelisk of Power will be her battlefield, and then it's going to be Targon's Peak, a notorious battlefield, feeling a little bit like any of the old. And starting off is about as good as you can get. Weirdly enough, chat, I'm seeing a whole lot less Treasure Hunter starts from Draven. Is that just coincidental, or are Draven's cutting back on Treasure Hunter? And chat, looking at the hand from MF, looking a little reminiscent from game #1. You have the Aurora in hand, but no ramp to be found. I didn't see any mobilizes. I didn't see any catalysts. I didn't see any treasure trove. Actually, I lied. I saw one treasure trove there. And now Finn, good eye. He did. It is a missable trigger. Draven should have been at 3 runes, or actually 5 runes right now. So completely forgot an Obelisk of Power since he wasn't his battlefield. But I don't think MF missed it at all. Goes ahead and plays the treasure trove, and then bounces back. Or what was that? Why did I already forget, guys? After an 11-hour stream. You guys know the 1-2 combo with treasure trove to channel 1 and draw 1 is what I'm referring to. Okay, maybe I stand corrected. All the ramp was off the top of the deck, unless it was a little bit hidden in his hand, because he definitely found the ramp. So next turn, he will be 100% able to get things going with the Dazzling Aurora. And because the Overzealous fan was already on the board, he's going to be going up to 2, make that 3 with the Kaiser Conquer, drawing another card. So that's going to be Ferris. A Bring Your Thunder Song doesn't feel too good in this matchup. In my opinion, you probably wanted to side those out, but maybe a 1-of is the only thing he left on the board. And by board, I mean in the deck. Here he goes. It is turn 3 for this MF. Does she go ahead and keep it super straightforward? And that she does. Dazzling Aurora hitting the board. And you saw the little head shake. He's like, oh, whatever. I knew it was coming. Let's see what I can do. I hate to see it, but if you're the MF Aurora player, you love to see it. Getting it out as soon as you can. That is the dream come true. Can he continue on with his dream and actually get that finish? Because we are talking about 0 points with 9 minutes remaining. You guys said in chat, I don't think this MF is going to be able to win and close things out in that time frame. But I think if we go on in this game, the longer a Dazzling Aurora goes, the more it ends up favoring them. So let's see how much points they're able to accrue with just 9 minutes remaining. Dazzling Aurora is going to be proccing. Let's see if it's going to be a Mind Splitter or a Dead Bloom, as those seems to be the only targets in the entire deck. And I like this, deciding to play it onto the Targon's Peak, saying, you know, I know you're completely tapped out, so you can use your overzealous fan and push me back, or you just lose it and I get the conquer. But I think the choice is kill the zealous so you don't give him a point, right? Because why would you just let him conquer for free? Maybe the only thing I could think about is to trap the Dead Bloom Predator in there, but I say trap. But he's never truly trapped, because we're talking about the MF Legend allowing the Dead Bloom to gank. Oh, of course, guys. The deflag, he's saying, oh, I don't want to choose him as a target, so thank you. Of course, you don't want to deramp yourself, even if it is by 1. So does decide to just take the L on the overzealous fan. And now, just seeing what he has available off that stack deck. And they're trying to do the quick math, making sure they didn't miss anything, but gonna be hiding something. Most likely, we just saw the switcheroo do decently good things in game number 2. Not good enough though. Draven still ended up falling short. But if it's something like a simple fighter flight, it could be decently good as well. You push back those big units, something like a Dead Bloom Predator. It feels so much better when you're a little bit closer on the point. When you're a little bit closer to 8 of course. But sometimes there's only one way to get to 8 is by holding points, of course. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like a fighter flight. But either or, you might have to pay for the deflect cost that he already didn't want to pay, as we saw with the sacrifice off the overzealous fan. So maybe he's thinking about saving his Forerunner. Or chat, I think I'm officially in Delulu mode after 11 hours of hour stream. I don't think he's thinking about that. I think it might just be like a switcheroo or something. Oh, he does end up picking up a challenge. That feels pretty good. You're able to take out the Draven in the back line. Even if he has a spinning axe, that's only gonna be going up to 7 might. And your Dead Bloom Predator currently has 8 might, right? Because this is not, I mean, you could play it actually yeah, you could play it as a quick draw, but you're not in combat, so Darius doesn't have the +2. So I like the challenge pickup. I'm willing to bet he's gonna be able to play it out right now. Oh, Bunia, you think he's gonna go for the second one right here? I like the challenge play, but a double Aurora, we saw how good it worked against Draven in game number 1. Goes ahead and uses 2, tapping for the Mind Splitter, trying to see what's in the opponent's hand, which is not too bad, because I mean, you could keep the Draven, you could keep the Kai'Sa. If you feel pretty confident, they're just not going to be able to have enough might to take over Targon's Peak from you, right? And wait, where are the runes he paid for Mind Splitter? How he can't just pay a Mind Splitter without paying it. He recycled 2, and then he would need to at least tap 5. 1, 2. Yeah, he definitely confused me. So as reaction speed to the Mind Splitter effect, he's gonna go ahead and play Spinning Axe. Oh, Bunia, is that what he was? He had 2 floating? Okay, I must have missed that. Oh, from the call shot. Okay, I'm seeing it now. So it was 2, and then he paid for 2. and then he has 4 taps. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, he tapped 8? I thought Mind Splitter was 7. Wait, am I going crazy? It is 7. And it looks like he might be learning his lesson. He said that Rebuke came in incredibly clutch in that game 1. Let's just take it away. But no, doesn't want to see him digging through the deck anymore. But oh, he's deciding. This was tough. Stack deck is obviously good. It can be pretty much anything off the top. But Rebuke is like a guarantee value card. I'm leaning towards Rebuke here. Oh, and Stark, of course. That's the extra one. And chat, let me be right back real quick. All right, hopefully I didn't miss too much. I had to run in the quick restroom. Okay, it looks like it will be a Dead Bloom Predator from that Dazzling Aurora. And we're seeing that GG's already getting thrown up in chat. He's saying that is just a little bit too formidable for a simple Draven to take over. You know, even for a Miracle Draven, perhaps Miracle Draven can go a little bit faster than this Draven, of course. But I think turn 3 Aurora is always turn 3 Aurora, no matter what deck you're playing against. This is why MF Aurora has been feeling so strong lately, especially ending set 1 and maybe going into set 2. Because if you guys notice, we're not really seeing a whole lot of set 2 cards. The only set 2 cards are the biggest, the best cards from set 2. Things like Punch First, that's going to be a big addition. You no longer have to run Primal Strength. Punch First costs a whole lot cheaper. It does cost an extra power, but maybe you run a little mix of both. But I think Punch First is just a little bit better. Oh, and did I miss 2 double challenges? Oh, dang, I missed a heck of a play. What unfortunate. Well, how unfortunate for me. Like, all the action happened while I was away, but that should, I see what you guys mean by GG, because if you take down the back line, you don't have anything to push forward. We found what beat. Yeah, exactly, Rezenga. We see a little bit of a glimmer of hope, if you will. Because this, I don't want to say it's completely one-sided, but it feels strong. But you know, this is just how it feels to always play against play as MF Aurora. When you hit, it is the absolute nuts, right? So this is what we've seen before. I think there is a tad bit more consistency though in the set 2 builds because of things like Call Shot. We saw him go ahead and float 2 runes for the Call Shots, and then a little bit more defensive / offensive power with those Punch First. So I like the new addition. Is pretty much the exact same core. Mind Splitter, Dead Blooms, of course, the Aurora, and then they're doing the other little ramp methods with those treasure troves as well. But the Call Shots and the Punch First, I think those are really nice additions coming in from Spiritforged. Yeah, Har, MF is better because of the ganking, in my opinion. Yes, you get some gold resources from Sivir, but I think ganking, because you need to conquer both battlefields from behind, it allows you to catch up a little bit easier. And Razenga, one turn after this one for MF, that's over. Yeah, who was turn 0? I actually didn't get to see. MF was turn 0. Thank you. Okay, so 0. So he's currently 0. They pass it to 1. You go to 2. So yeah, just one more turn. Oh, no matter what. The fact that he's not able to conquer the left side, he goes up to 4 if he does, but Draven holds to 6. And then you're at 4. Even if you double conquer, you tie. So this is 100% just playing for a tie from MF's side. Draven could play for a win depending on what the hidden card is. Yeah, Hart, that's probably a good idea. They're still sitting somewhere around $60 last time I checked. It might be a decently good idea. I don't think Deadbloom Predator fell off all that much. I think a lot of people were just feeling like he did because they weren't seeing anything from Deadblooms, but we're seeing it right here in the last round of Swiss. Edge and Knight gonna be bringing up that Ferris Forerunner up to 8 total might, so is able to trade with one of the Deadblooms as we're seeing here. But AI does get the conquer, but as we said, I don't think MF can win this anymore. You go to 4. I mean, I do say that, but if you can hold, if your opponent can't conquer, I guess there is a world where you could win. Yeah, doing the little plays to get the treasure trove back. Let's see, is it going to be another Mind Splitter from the top of Dazzling? Another Mind Splitter should be pretty good, and it will be the Mind Splitter. I mean, it's a 50-50 shot, whether it's going to be a Deadbloom or a Mind Splitter. Let's see what the Draven's hiding, because right now, if he has no rebukes, doesn't have any more combat tricks, I don't think he's going to be able to conquer both of these battlefields, but this is MF Aurora's final turn. Or is it, chat, or am I going crazy? Was this turn 1 or turn 2? Yeah, Naflin, Nav, if you don't score over 2 points over your opponent, it's a draw. So if it's just a 1 point difference, you tie. Yeah, Bunia, he should, right? Just saying, you know what, MF, you're probably going to win in the long run, but that's not how these players are going to play. And there is a rebuke. That would be the card I'm snatching away. Brainier doesn't really do too much. Jim Jammer, there's nothing on the battlefield. Isn't going to be doing too much. I think if there's a way to hold, it's going to be with that. Let's see what's going to be hit off the top. Darius going to be attacking for 5. That's 8 to 12. Or not 8 to 12. 8 to 11. And then the Edge Knight brings the total collective might up to 13, pushing in. So yeah, you could take down one of these battlefields, but you're not going to be able to take down both, at least as it stands. And he's trying to do some math here. He's trying to say, is there anything I'm missing? Because I think that was just turn 1. So now Draven is on turn 2. Oh, no. Yeah, chat, it's been a long stream. It was turn 1, there was turn 0, turn 1. I think MF can't play anymore, right? That was her turn 2. Yeah, so MF got her last turn, right? Oh, Boonie, is that what it is? So she was turn 1. No. 1. Wait, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. making it really hard to conquer both of these battlefields. Kind of punch first, as I said, one of the greatest additions for the MF deck from Spiritforged. We see it right here live in action. Gonna be bringing up that MF up to 10 total might, defending with 17, a Darius and a mech. Even with the Edge of Night, it's just not gonna be enough for either of these battlefields. We know what's in hand. It's a Brinier Thunder Song, and I think it was another Edge of Night, unless that one... Yeah, I think it was a Brinier Thunder Song and an Edge of Night. Both of those cards aren't going to be too beneficial from this position. Yeah, Demi Bane, that's what it was. I thought they had already done 2 turns, but it was just a single turn. Oh, Riff, you're right, because the punch first couldn't come out. That's something to be mindful of sometimes. But would it have been game? Because you conquer up to 6. MF gets one more shot. She can go up to 6. So yeah, Riff, I don't know if it would have 100% been game. And this Darius getting the +2 for playing out 2 cards. It was an Edge of Night, and I think, what was the other card he played out? It's not the Gem Jammer. It cost 2, so it was just an Edge of Night. So I don't think Darius would be at 2 just yet. Yeah, Dan, I think it's going to be a tie. I don't think either of these players have it currently. But he's just trying to do math, making sure he doesn't miss anything. So Darius is going to be swinging. If he does have the +2, that's at 7. Going up to 9, up to 11. Yeah, it's just not enough. But if MF is just able to hold it down, maybe MF wins, and that's going to be a concession coming out from Draven. He can't even conquer a single battlefield. MF Aurora goes from 5 to 6, and on her turn, she's able to put on even more battlefield presence. So MF Aurora, guys, we said what deck could take down Draven? Perhaps MF Aurora is being slept on. We had a funny feeling. AI, a prominent team in China, they do a lot of testing together. I would have imagined that they had the Draven matchup down.